All right, we have another session with James today, and this is our February 2022 edition. Of course, James and I have been at this for 10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years, but something that, we have a lot of familiarity with, I think, the ins and outs of this business, and we see some highlights, and we love to show what we're doing in the field. And I think, to me, I look at the variety of clients we have, and so we'll go through a couple today. So James, let's start with something simple. We're going to do a screen share and let the person who's watching or the person who's listening to this start to see what we're doing with, I think what interests me is a lot of clients who are, or have trepidation, who are potential clients, even some, are concerned about when they get loaded up, right? They're like, well, how long is it going to take to get clients? And I'm not sure, and when am I going to make my money back? And I'm not sure about what the framework is this going to be, and is this going to be like a 30-day window or a 90-day window, or how fast is things? So I think it's great to do a real-time thing where we had a client who came in a couple of weeks ago, and let's talk about what's happened.
All right, so what's up, Go? What's going on, everyone? Yes, so we have Studio 48. They just launched about February 2nd, so we're about 2 weeks in when we're shooting this podcast. They're your typical med spa, offering all the typical med spa services: microneedling, Botox, liposuction, and a little chiropractic thrown in there too. So we started 2 weeks ago. They have about 80 leads in so far.
Okay, hold on for a second.
Sure.
Let's talk about the time frame here, just before we get started. So I know I spoke with the owner of Studio 48 somewhere about mid-January, was interested, and he said, if you guys can help me out, let's get started, and so forth. And we went through the strategy of what we were. I think around a week later, he decided to fill out his paperwork, and then his payment came through around the same time to get started. So he actually physically signed his agreement around the end of the month of January, like the last week of January. So I don't know the exact date. So he was up and running by the 3rd of February. That's what you're saying?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So it was about a week. So again, the last week of January, he signed, he got started. And so within now 2 weeks after he started, he has 80 leads. So that tells me, and that tells everybody who's listening to this, it's not a function of how fast does it take. I think it's a function of your spend, which he has a decent little spend, and I know you can go through the numbers with it, but it also comes down to the fact that, letting us do the work and just getting running and not overthinking it, I think is the biggest thing here. Because I know in the beginning, he did that. He sort of stopped us in progression, and we said, look, we know what you're saying is, what's that?
It was just 2 days in. We had just launched 2 days later. It was 3 days later. Sorry, 3 days in. That's it. He got a little nervous.
Right.
We had told him, don't be nervous, and there was no need to be, and it shows. We met with him a week later, and he absolutely loved where we were going with this. And it takes a while to ramp up, but I'll tell you, he has good offers in the market. The targeting is on point. We've been doing this, like you said, for 10 years. So we know how to target Botox users and liposuction users and microneedling users. That's what we do. Really good at it. Just some certain markets, because of different advertising spends in that particular market with competitors. Sometimes it'll come hit the ground running, and then within the first 6 hours, you're really cooking with gas. And sometimes it takes a few days, right? So Facebook can find, where to place you in their ad queue, with other competitive, competing med spas and ad spends. So in his particular case, it was around day 6, where the system finally optimized and found his place in the queue to target, his audience correctly. And since we've started, those 80 leads, they've turned into, what is this now, February 3rd. So we're what, 2 weeks in, almost a little less, a little day under 2 weeks. They've already had 3 people sit in their seats for 3 Botox appointments, and they have over 21 scheduled for the month of February already.
Right.
So, you're looking at a, 25% booking rate. And, out of that 25 that came in, another 10% I've already just sat in, they've already paid. So, they did. So like in his particular case, like you were saying, the ramp up and getting nervous and, we're not moving fast enough. There's a lot of factors at play when you're doing this, the offer, your spend, the market you're in, the competition you're up against. And we know how to handle all of that. And we've seen that, and we've done this for so long that, after a couple of days, we kind of know what that factor is, and then we can adjust accordingly. And that's what we did with him, which was, there was no adjustment. It was just kind of hang tight. They're just trying to optimize you right now. And that's exactly what it was.
Right. And that's what I was saying. I think in his case, which was interesting, and not saying anything wrong, or he's not doing anything, but he got very concerned about sales copy, and it wasn't working for this and it wasn't working for this reason. And we had said, look, all the points you're bringing up are valid. We're not saying that they're not valid, but 98% of it doesn't matter, because the market is the market. And the market's not going to care what color your, ad font is, or what your, which way the picture's looking. And a lot of this stuff is just, sure, in the broader scope of things, when you talk about a demonstrative difference in A versus B, of course there would be a positive momentum, and we wouldn't say that. But when it first starts out, it's offer over everything. It's
Over
what's the
every,
offer? Yeah,
yeah, I would, in the Facebook paradigm, is it's offer, targeting, and then creative and copy.
right, right, right,
Right?
right.
That's the paradigm. That's the secret sauce, if you want to know. That's the way how you approach these. You have to have that offer. If your offer is no good, and we've had that with some clients recently where they went from a really good offer to a really bad offer, and things started to kind of trend down. And it was obvious, you increased the offer of your service, and now your competitors came in and just took all that business away from you. As simple as that.
So just for entertainment purposes here, what are the costs per leads in these categories, since we're on this screen, because you can sort of scroll over and we can see the acquisition costs?
Sure. So what you're looking at here is, and I'll work my way up, is for our liposuction, these particular services, they, charge thousands. He's getting them at $16, 15.95 per lead. He's gotten 27 in less than 2 weeks. Botox, low teens, $14, right under $15, and they've gotten 39 of those, and they've been booking those. Um, and then the chiropractic. And actually, it's funny, we're having a meeting with him today to talk about chiropractic, because these have all been booking, have come in, they've paid, and if they haven't come in and paid yet, they're on the books for the med spa stuff. So we're having a conversation on how to integrate chiropractic into what is a med spa. Those two normally don't really sync up, but we have some ideas of how to make it work. And we're actually speaking with him today, and we're going to be making those updates. So he is getting the leads for chiropractic, even though he's a med spa. It's just like I said, they're a med spa, so that's where their
Right.
focus is. We've got to kind of coach him around how to book these, which we also do. Is kind of
Yeah,
coach our.
and I think that that's a very common uh, interwoven discussion, which is multi-practice strategy, which we do really well at. When people have multiple practices within their location, and we find this with guys like this, like these guys who have got a wellness practice and a obviously med spa combined, husband and wife type thing. And we're seeing this more often than not, when I think one of the practices sort of fades and then the other one picks up. And most of the time it's because people want the cash and carry business in the med spa side. So we've seen it with, I've seen it with optometrists, I've seen it with dentists, and
Yeah.
obviously PT and Cairo is very common to have multi-practice strategies, and it just doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that is a business model that people need to pursue. But I think we happen to have multidisciplinary capabilities because we've worked on so many different campaigns in the medical threshold that you're right. The coaching on how to work these together and cross-pollinate these campaigns is great. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Why don't we get on
yeah,
to the next so that
sure. So
you don't
that was a new client, right? Brand new. So we're
right.
gonna go to another client's BHRT training course. They've been with us well, since wow, I would say about 8 months, 9 months, 10 months,
Right.
some eight,
About that.
8 to 10 months, right? I'm just looking here at a 30-day look back right now on what they've been doing recently in the last month. And yeah, it's really simple. They do an ebook download for their main campaign. That kind of gets something in the potential client, patient, student's hand because they're giving training courses. Gets it in their hands so they can learn about it, right? They put that in there. We're also running a web traffic campaign, right? And we've kind of taken their online course, and kind of broken it out into little video clips to kind of tease people, and we've also made this a downloadable to also download the ebook, but this gives them a little bit more where opposed to our main campaign where it's just a picture of the ebook that we're doing. So we're getting it, and here's another thing: is a strategy of using both video and photos as creatives, and using two different types of ad products. One was just a photo ad. If you looked at the web traffic one, that was a carousel ad, which you have multiple ad spots in there. So you want to make sure you appeal to all potential users. That some people just like photos, some people just like videos, some people like to have a lot of information. So we're targeting the same audience with a variation of creatives approach, and it's all for the same thing, is to get this download, right? And then we're doing a retarget audience. So everybody that downloads the book or gets to the landing page or clicks on the web traffic ad, we retarget them again with the same thing, with an ebook download, right? So that's their strategy. They want to get that in their hand. Once they get that in their hand, their inside team follows them up, asks them questions, and then gets them on the books to do a training course, right? And then what we just recently launched, just what is this, January 25th, again 2 weeks ago, they have like a subset course within there that we're running a campaign for, which we're using all this audience to retarget for this course. So, I mean, they've gotten 15 of those leads at $15 each. And I think right now on the books, out of those 15 this last month, I think 6 or 7 have signed up for the course, which is, a 50% booking rate, which is great, which tells you that, sometimes doing too much overwhelms people. So we took out subsets. We spoke with the client. She said this seems to be the one that people really gravitate towards. We said, fantastic. Let's run this specifically, right? And it shows in the numbers and it shows in the results of them actually booking courses. So yeah, and that's that give and take with the client too, right?
Yeah.
Is learning from them and then understanding what works, what has been working for them, and then kind of reapplying that into the Facebook and Instagram ads.
Right. And a different subset of clientele here because we're going after medical practitioners, nurse practitioners, medical offices, uh, people related to the business. So we're not going directly to clients. This is a B2B strategy, which is a
Correct.
unique way to look at it. So they're selling a $3,000 plus course. And we know that these people who are interested, you can't just sell them a course. You have to get them educated before you get them into a funnel, right? So this is really an educational funnel that then brings them to that consultation phase.
Correct.
Then, as they go through the consultation phase, they sign up, and we've had some really good results with this particular client who is, and it's taken a while to figure out what's the best thing to get that will match what the audience is looking to imbibe or consume, right? Because we know that just sending, a general, I would say, ebook download is okay, but you don't get a quality prospect. And what we figured out is if we went, as you said, to these subsets and figured out, let's go specific into each one of the subsets, we're getting 50% conversions because that's what we found out. They're looking specifically, not generally. So it's great.
Correct. I mean, Facebook ads and real life shopping, the consumer is always the same. Everyone has their own specific product or service that you're looking for, right? It doesn't change in Facebook ads or anything, and like I said, that communication with the client and learning that we just apply that on our digital Facebook advertising. It's just as simple as that.
Right. And then across the boards, they've had, 100+ leads come through in the last 30 days. And I know that they're closing well because they're very, very active with
I mean,
their.
look at this. I mean, since what is this? Well, this is off right here. We jumped in about 8 months ago. This is not all of us, but yeah, in 8 months' time, and to be honest with you, it's not a big marketing budget, a couple of $1,000s a month.
Right.
So, it's a low risk approach to Facebook ads, and they definitely have made their return back tenfold, if more than that.
Oh,
So yeah,
good.
done that.
Okay,
So
so now we've done somebody who just started. We've done someone who's now targeting practitioners and targeting like a different subset of candidates that is more B2B, but still in the medical world with hormone training and hormone related study. Let's move on to a traditional, and let's see someone who's been with us, sort of a long term, and we can see some really interesting numbers. And I love to see, like, I think they've been with us for multiple years.
yeah,
This is
I have it here for 2 years, but we had switched to a new ad manager, so this is actually just 2 years of, I think, about three and a half or four that they've been with us.
right.
The results, right? So yeah, I mean, this is Aesthetica Med Spa in Paramus, New Jersey. They've been great, steady. They are one of the clients that were actually not nervous in the beginning.
Yeah,
We, they kind of put it in our hands. They knew what they were good at. We knew what we are good at, and it's been a great synergy since day one with them. And they were a startup, so we started right from the ground up. I was there shooting video when equipment was coming in. It wasn't even fully stocked yet, and they've been running, like I said, the typical med spa services, cool sculpting, hydrofacial, Botox, laser hair removal. These have been their cornerstone offers. And really, honestly, maybe we changed these offers a couple of times, not more than a couple of times. I would say maybe about every quarter, if not every quarter, at least twice a year, because they work. And that's the other thing too that people have to understand with Facebook, especially with someone that we've been with for so long, and we can tell you, as a matter of fact, if something's working and the offer is good and you're getting leads and you're booking them, never change things just for the sake of changing things, right? if you're
right.
making your if you're making your return and everything's happy, because that's always another downfall with a lot of businesses. Things are going fantastic, and then they try to change it up. And I always push back from that. I go, we can try run a parallel and see how it does, but never just do it. And that's what they've done. They've kind of been straightforward. I think the hydrofacial, we've changed the offer twice, 3 times since we've started with them. The cool sculpting, we're kind of subjected to cool sculpting's corporate offers available, but we always kind of find the one that appeals to her market the best. Botox has been, I think, $9 a unit since the beginning of time, right? And laser hair removal is quite a good percentage off for first time uh, customers. So that's what we're appealing to here. And the cost per leads have been fantastic. For services that cost hundreds, if not thousands, you're paying an average of, what is this, about $25 a lead overall. A cool sculpting where their total ticket price can be like $4,000 or $5,000, you're paying $33 a lead. That's a no-brainer. Same thing with
And they've
hydrofacial.
had ups and downs.
Yeah,
And I think that's the key here is that they stayed consistent and didn't shut things off. That's when you get into problems because then the algorithm has to find you again, put you back, slot you back in. It needs to
correct.
now think about, do I put you in or the other person in or the other practice in?
Yeah,
And there's a lot
and
to
the other thing is too, Matt, is with the cool sculpting. I'll give you some. You just said you don't shut it down, but for December and January of this past year, when the Omicron hit, there was literally no one calling them outside of our ads or responding to our ads. People just were not going to go anywhere, period, for such a big exposure. So, these kind of things like hydrofacial Botox laser, you can book a month out, but
Right.
they just didn't want us. My point is that we did pause it actually, and we just reallocated into these, and then it filled up their appointment book. As soon as the Omicron let up, mid-January, beginning of January, they were stocked right there. And now we just fired up the cool sculpting again here. This is literally just started, so ignore this cost per result. This literally started like 3 days ago. It's optimizing right now. But we threw it back into place with a new offer, a better offer. So my point is, you can shut it down. We don't suggest it, but if you're going to do it, when you come back into the market, you better make sure that offer is way better than it was before we shut it down, right? That's the strategy to something like that. And like I said, 99.99% of the time, yes, you keep things going no matter what, except for a health emergency. That's the exception these
Well,
days.
obviously there's some variances based off of geographic territory and
Correct.
restraints
But
of government.
exactly certain things, but that's how you do it.
I think these guys show the enormity of the market. That's what I think that I was trying to get at, which is that 741 hydrofacial leads, 513 Botox leads, 408 laser hair leads, 613 general leads on top of that, like 1,400 lead ad campaign. I mean, these are just, think of the money, not
Yeah.
necessarily from a perspective of that every one of those leads turns into a patient, but, you know, even a 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4, I mean, it's going to be, hundreds and hundreds, millions of dollars at the end of a couple of years. I mean, you just can see this. So, you know,
And this particular client, and we've had multiple clients like this, and I wouldn't be surprised because this is what happens when people stay the course. I will make a prediction on this podcast, and so make sure you screenshot this and save this. Within the next 12 to 16 months, they will open a second location.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what happens, because we've seen this happen with a bunch of our clients where they stick it out, they make the investment, right? They book, and it becomes a point where, okay, we just literally cannot fit any more people on the appointment book in this location. What do? You open up another one. So
yeah. It's
they're
not
they're,
just
they're
med spas, by
that
the
kind of
way.
client. What's that?
Not just med spas.
Not just med spas. No, we've done this with chiropractors, physical therapists.
Yeah,
Sure,
I mean, we we have to be careful that the audience that's listening or the person who's listening right now, we may say like this is not just only segmented into just these categories. We certainly have other, we have a panoply of different medical conditionals. But I think at the end of the day, the models still point to the same direction, which is consistency
yep,
and give yourself the opportunity to let this stuff work, patience, and delivery will come to those who will let the systems do their job because that's what they're there for. And
correct.
then let us hone in like sharpening a knife over time. We can get sharper and sharper, but it doesn't happen right off the bat. However, you shouldn't be afraid to get your toe wet and just jump in and get things running because you will get pretty good consistency as we saw from the first one that we showed. So James, this is great. I think let's do another one of these sessions soon, either next month or the following month, to go through a couple of other campaigns. But I hope that was enough for the listener or the watcher today to make you aware that this stuff we're coming up to the very, very, very busy season for all medicals, whether it's, med
Laser hair
spas.
removal season, everyone. Laser hair removal season. Make sure you get that laser hair. Get it off your legs. Beach.
Or in chiropractic, you're going to now have people coming out, especially in the Northeast. They're going to be starting to injure themselves again. PT.
Correct.
full
Weekend warrior.
Yeah, it's going to happen. So lots of stuff. So thank you, James. Appreciate your help and look forward to our next one.
You got it. I'll talk to you later, guys.